welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military veterans and first responders transform their lives from the prayer room to the boardroom. We are in the superhero battle room of choice. Tons of buttons that I never messed before, but that's what we do with people's lives. We see where they're going over and where they were and where they're going to be and where they've transformed. So we're bringing Francine to the stage. She is a woman who served her country and now has a mission to serve the future generations, just like in the past couple episodes. As she's going over and speaking, I want you to see if you can guess what branch she's in. Obviously, if she reveals it, you guess too late. So from the second she goes live, it is your job, either live or in the replay, to go over and to see if you can guess that branch. Give a little excitement in the background. So we're going to bring her forward, and then we're going to talk about her journey. Hey, Francine, do I have you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, that's the good thing about technology. It is working today. So let's go jump right in. And what inspired you to join the military either many minutes or many moons ago?
Oh, it was many moons ago in 1982. I was trying to go to college full time while I was trying to work full time. And I decided that wasn't a way to live. Plus, I was 17 years old. I was a head cashier at a hardware store, and I learned that I could not get my next promotion until I was 23 years old. The high achiever that I am, that was unacceptable. And when a good friend of mine suggested I join the military, I said, why not? I could go get an education, I could get paid to do it, and I could have some excitement in my life.
Wow, 6 years for a promotion, even in the 80s? I got promoted way quicker than that. Like, I started work in 97 and I got a promotion every 6 months. Wow, that is like crazy. Was the economy that bad during that time?
Oh no, it's because I was so young.
That's crazy. I started work at 16 and I worked in a union, a United Food and Commercial Workers, and every 6 months I got like a 50-cent raise unless I did something stupid. Wow, that is crazy.
I guess I just chose the wrong industry. I was in a hardware store, and that was their rule.
Ah, okay. Well, interesting, interesting. So we're going to get more into now, like you joined in 1982, because obviously pay raises are a lot more effective than that hardware store.
Yeah.
So how long did you serve and when did you actually leave the military? Did you do a full career, just a few years?
I did 10 years active duty, and I'm going to let you guess which branch I started in. Then I got out, I got my degree in electronics, and I missed aviation. So I decided to join the National Guard. And again, I'm not going to tell you which branch because I'm going to let you guess. So I was dual service. Then, as a civilian, because my dual service was I did say it, Army National Guard was my second career choice. But because it was the National Guard, I still needed a full-time job. I worked as a civilian contractor for the Navy. And then after all of that, I got a job with civil service where I remained an aircraft electrician. I was an aircraft electrician for 33 years, serving the government and the military in some way, shape, or form.
Wow. Yeah. I almost went into there. So I was Air Force. And then the first career path I was supposed to be is guidance control. So I was supposed to be an aircraft electrician, well, electronics troubleshooter. And for me personally, I'm glad I failed. I could not handle the whole bad box, good box, and everything else because I had a background in electronics technology, did that for 4 years, got down to the component, looking at the schematics, and then you come in the Air Force and like, just swap box. So I could not get the theory. I actually failed out of flight directional systems. That was the one. I just could not get it. And he's like, the answers are in the TO, but you don't have the technical order when you're taking the test. Was I supposed to memorize it all? I guess I was supposed to, but that made me change a bunch of different paths. So 33 years of doing aircraft electrical, and you have made a pivot. So, how did the transition go after 33 years of joint active duty guard and also working civilian and contract service with our government?
It was difficult because my whole identity was being a girl in the military, being an aircraft electrician. And I had no idea what to do. I had no idea who I was. And as a result, well, actually, a little earlier than that, I put on a bunch of weight because I I was failing. I didn't feel well after coming home from Iraq. I didn't feel like my career was progressing like I wanted. I didn't feel like I was in control of my life. I put on 100 pounds, and that made me seriously ill. My liver was failing. Well, it could have been all that drinking I did in the military too, or it could have been all the chemicals that I played in as an aircraft electrician, jet fuel and hydraulic fluid and all the other chemicals that we used. But all I knew is I needed to make a change. Well, while I was in my career in the military, I became a change management specialist. Has anybody heard of Six Sigma Green Belt? I worked as a green belt for a long time in the military, in corporate America, and in industry. I was over 6 assembly lines in an electronic music plant when I thought I wanted to be a civilian again. Well, I took all of this knowledge of change management I learned in school and in practical application, and I developed the 6-step process of personal change, and it helped save my life. Not only did I lose 100 pounds, I wrote a book, I retired from my career, and I started a whole new life. And then I wrote another book, and my fans have talked me into going into children's book writing. I am now a children's book author, and I am starting the Confidence Club for kids based on my 6-step process of personal change.
That is a lot. That is a lot. I've heard from Iraq. I mean, when I'm thinking of like I've done 7 AFSCs in the Air Force, so I've changed from one to the other. And one of my last active duty ones was mental health. And I knew a woman that went to Iraq and she was a mental health tech. She went from 120 to 240 pounds in 14 months. So I
Mhm.
was thinking about her journey when you were talking about that. And she had this unique disease called Cushing she got from Iraq. Like literally, she would take like if this was like a Tic Tac, because I don't have a Tic Tac available, she would metabolize it like 5 or 10x more. So it wasn't the 1.5 calorie treat; it was like 20 calories. So when she was eating 1,200 calories, her body was metabolizing it at 10 to 12,000. So I thought you went through that, but yeah, it's amazing on how deployments and then our identity can go linked to so many different spirals, either positively or negatively. So, wow. So, yeah, and losing weight is really, really difficult. I mean, I'm in my 40s trying to lose about 20 to 30 pounds, and you're like, I eat healthy and I hydrate like a fool. And I'm like, yeah, it's about the same. So, losing 100 pounds, they give you kudos for that. And now you're doing one of the most difficult, and maybe my audience probably doesn't understand this. Publishing a book is complicated enough. Self-publishing, traditional publishing, anything else. We self-publish and we help veterans go over and do that. That's one of our side hustles with Learn and Live. But children's books,
Yes.
it's such a place to go over and dive into. Most people usually don't get discovered. So, what made you pivot to go over and from change management? Because, hey, it's $1 billion a day industry with the knowledge, but jumping into the kids, even though 60% of spending is, pushed towards
Yeah.
kids, but getting it marketed out there, what made you pivot to go over now help with kids, especially in confidence in this day and age that we are zoning and then losing our confidence. So what made you make that pivot? Because it is a big pivot to go over and make.
When I wrote my first book, it was very clinical. It was very academic. It was very boring. And I am a lover of meditation. And that is actually the first step of my 6-step process, is quieting the mind and getting clear with your thoughts, getting comfortable with your thoughts, figuring out what's making you uncomfortable. And the best way to do that is through meditation. Well, I started going to all kinds of different groups and group meditations and guided meditations. And in one, I met this crazy character. The meditation guide took us to a different planet. And as I was laying there thinking, oh, this isn't working for me, all of a sudden, there it was. Now, picture this. It's a cross between a Lhasa Apso and a penguin. It had long blonde hair sticking out of its green and white shirt. And its hair was like Albert Einstein's, but it sparkled and it was green. And he had sparkling feathers sticking up. And he came running to me, Mommy! And he said, I'm Sparkle Feathers, and I'm here to tell you that we need to spread the word that everybody needs to be comfortable in their own skin and be happy just being who they are. And that is the day Sparkle Feathers was born. I got this epiphany that if I changed that first book that was about the 6-step process of personal change, and I turned it into a fairy tale to make it more fun, with Sparkle Feathers as the main character leading a group of people through their own personal change journeys. But the story gets better. I wrote this book for young adults. I was thinking maybe the seniors in high school through college. Well, my first fans were between the ages of 50 and 80. I did a keynote address and somebody bought my book. I sold 2, but this one lady who bought it shared the book with her roommate who had suffered from childhood trauma for 74 years. She read my book and they both noticed healthy changes in her attitude. This woman has become one of my biggest advocates, and she has helped me sell books till I ran out. I'm waiting for more books to come in. And she also suggested that I rebrand for children of all ages, ages 8 to 80. Now, people are buying this book for their children and grandchildren. And the children's book is to not market to, but to bring in this beautiful personal development to the middle schoolers who, I don't have children, but I do remember being a middle schooler. And boy, was that a horrible age. The wanting to fit in with the crowd, the, oh, I wear glasses now and nobody's going to like me, or getting braces for the first time and being embarrassed and ashamed, or all the other trials and tribulations of childhood. And Sparkle Feathers helps children get through these challenges in life. And the other main character is Princess Francine, my inner child, who goes along with Sparkle Feathers. She was the main character of my first book coming out soon, because while I was writing this book, I got bit by a dog and got a scar. So Princess Francine has a scar on her face and she's afraid, well, what the kids are going to say in school. And Sparkle Feathers teaches her how to meditate and teaches her how to be comfortable with who she is and what she looks like.
I think that's huge because we are inundated average 6 hours a day of social media. The suicide rates are actually 14 to 22. That's the highest outside of the veteran and first responder population. Unalive. Let's just rebrand it. Don't want to get, hopefully, YouTube doesn't pick up that word, but that's what it is, to be honest. So going over and having it through story, because Dean Gracio talks about that, you do story, teach, and then tools, and that's what captivates people. So I think that's huge, that sometimes even in taking meditation and taking that inspiration and then trying that out, because that's also confidence too, because you're going out there and it's not a confident world to go out and compete. But if we go over and know what we're gifted with and the intelligence that we have, and then you go over and grab it, that's amazing that you're selling out the book, and it's the older generations that are going over and buying it. But that's really cool because then they'll share with their kids and their grandkids. So that is amazing that you went over and did that. Is that the book that's in the background on the top? Is that the photo of it?
That's it. The butterfly that changed everything. It's on Amazon.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, because I was a little curious why you said you were running out. I mean, like, is you can order on like unlimited, so that's really awesome. So hopefully you get a restock and they can go over and order.
They're on the way.
So before we go into that, into the specifics, like, so you talked about the struggles of like identity, the struggles of like Iraq and everything else. You also talked about the weight gain and then the weight loss and then making that pivot. So, and you're also Six Sigma certified, which is amazing. We can talk about that offline because there's amazing opportunities with that. So what secret fuel when the pressure and tough times come, like either reflecting from the past and the story you shared with us, or even today as you're going over and becoming a future children's author and everything else?
The one thing I learned is that everything, I mean, everything happens for a reason. So when I was overweight and didn't like my job and feeling bad, I had that why me? The why is this happening to me? And then I blamed everybody else. Well, I can't get promoted because somebody doesn't like me, or I can't do this because the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with me. My personal physician and my VA physician couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Well, I took matters into my own hands. Instead of saying, why me, and being a victim, I took control of my own life. I started doing the research and I found that 99% of my problems were because of the food I ate and the habits that I kept. The not getting enough sleep, not meditating because I was not dealing with my stress and trauma properly. Stress and trauma is necessary to teach you. Stress and trauma, though, get stored in your body and causes illness. So the key to living a healthy and happy life is managing your stress properly.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's amazing on like certain generations. Like we literally, I remember like in the 2000s, we would just try to do everything physical. And now we're finally getting a clue. We're physical, we're mental, we're spiritual, we're emotional, we're psychological, we're relational, we're transactional, we're in our mind. Do we have a soul? When we just don't deal with it and we say, okay, I'm going to compartmentalize that, the body's going to not compartmentalize it. So the body's going to deal with it. The soul's going to deal with it. The psyche's going to deal with it. Your relationships are going to deal with it. So I believe that's huge. We just can't hold on to that. I mean, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's not current traumatic stress disorder because it'd only be really short. You'd be like, hey, this happened yesterday, not
Yeah.
5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, depending on the person. So I think that's huge for the audience to go over and learn and say, hey, meditation, prayer, whatever way you need to go over and get that, you need to go over and quiet the mind. And the first thing is we have to sometimes quiet our phone. We know you're listening live, we know you're listening on the reels and everything else. But the thing of it is taking that time to actually deal with our hearts and minds so then we can go over and grow. And now if I have to go over and someone comes to you because you consult the mind through personal change, or you're going over in confidence in the kids realm now and everything else where you're making that transformation. And let's say you had to do it over again or you're coaching a client. What is 3 superhero tactics would you go over and give them to go from that survival mode to that thriving?
The first 3 things I tell anybody, and I'm a public speaking coach, so this even goes for people who are coming to me to become better speakers. Number 1, you have to quiet your mind. So before they get on stage, we do deep breathing exercises. And I love essential oils because they go to the limbic system where emotions are controlled. Number 2, self-reflection. In my children's book, Princess Francine goes into the Hall of Mirrors, the magic hall, where she sees glimpses of her past. And by the time she gets to the end of that hall, her thoughts are, you know what? It wasn't that bad. I survived all of that. And life is going to be okay because I'm safe now. And number 3, realize that you are who you are, regardless of what society says you are. I remember being told, you'd be such a pretty girl if you would just lose some weight. I was fat as a child too. And that programming kept me doing unhealthy things to try to lose the weight rather than trying to be healthy and sustain my life with healthy habits.
Yeah, that is really cool. Identity is definitely key. Me and my wife just talked about that last night in Bible study, and as she's been growing her public speaking career, because who you think you are is going to manifest in your conversations privately, and then they're going to manifest publicly. So from the prayer room to the boardroom, if you don't understand your identity, it's going to manifest. So I
Yes.
think that was key. And I thought that was beautiful on how you did it so succinctly. You're actually one of the fastest ones. Usually when I give the 3 superhero tactics, they're it's like a hard drive looking like it's about to stall. So I mean, so very impressed on that. So thank you, Francine, for going and joining the show. I'm going to give you the floor one last time to talk about this website that's been scrolling the entire time, Personal Change Warriors. Talk about your new book, and if you have like a really powerful quote to close, and then we'll go to credits.
Personalchangewarriors.com is my website where you can find more about the 6-step process of personal change. You can see videos of me just acting silly, my confidence club for adults, which leads into more effective public speaking or more effective communication. My books are on Amazon. You could check me out on Amazon. I have written 2 books solo, and I've also been a member of 2 anthologies. The Confidence Club for Kids is launching soon, so make sure you stay tuned to my website. The page is going to open soon. I am going to be having a focus group for parents so I could learn what parents want to have in an interactive website for children so they could watch videos in a safe space without all of the static from YouTube or other platforms.